Hey everyone, I'm Pion and welcome to Pion's Primal Perception. Today I'm gonna share my very first experience with Vagrus, the Riven Realms. This game describes itself as a post-apocalyptic fantasy RPG strategy hybrid or something along those lines. It looks kind of interesting. It's supposed to release sometime, not yet. I don't think there's an ETA yet. And well, this is an early build, so let's give it a shot. Keep in mind this is a development build, so there might be bugs and stuff like that. Actually, let's just read the disclaimer. Vagrus, the Riven Realms is still in development, so there will be bugs, missing content, and unfinished features. Vagrus is a game that involves a fair amount of reading if it is to be enjoyed and experienced as intended by the developers. It is also a game where success is by no means guaranteed. You will probably lose everything several times before getting the hang of leading your traveling company. I don't have a problem with that. Play intro, yeah. Send crash reports, yeah. Send game statistics, no. Well, no, let's not do that. Old space, okay, let's do that. Let's see if this is any good. Comitatus, an armed traveling company. It usually carries cargo and passengers across the wastelands of the continent. It can get involved in a variety of jobs ranging from trading to mercenary work. Vagrus, a venturer, a vagabond, a captain, the leader of a comitatus. Okay, sure.
The Riven Realms, they call it. What a fine poetic name for something as rotten and twisted as our land has become. It was not always so. Long ago, the old empire, the noblest and most enduring society created by humankind, spanned almost the entire continent of Zerine, the cradle of man. But after several millennia of progress and incomparable achievements, inevitably, the empire began to fall into stagnation and decadence. Desperately holding on to their privileges and resisting change while trying to avert the collapse of the realm, the emperor and his theocracy took to measures that were worthy of true despots in cruelty. Subjugating weaker realms, enslaving whole nations, strip mining foreign resources, oppressing imperial citizens, war on several fronts, genocide. Eventually, the gods could no longer tolerate such horrors wrought in their name. Foretold by an abundance of divine omens, they descended upon the empire to right its wrongs.
That looks cool.
Thus, in a chain of dreadful events that became known as the Calamity, they annihilated the empire in a matter of days. The gods then finally saw what they had done in their anger and confusion. It is said that so much grief and shame filled them that they were broken and they left this reality, never to return. The continent and its inhabitants seemed dead, but at length survivors began to crawl out of their hiding holes and faced a land that no longer welcomed them. Arcane anomalies, the fallout of the Calamity, now riddled the continent, and people realized that they had to share their new home with changed and twisted creatures. Terrible beings entered through the cracks in the tapestry of reality and rose to rule over the natives. In time, these new powers rebuilt the fallen empire in their own image, and the Riven Realms, now godless and vengeful, reincarnated from the ashes. The inhabitants of the land, such as I, now eke out a living under the crushing rule of the new empire. The continent itself constantly resists our every attempt at building a cozy home for ourselves. As travel is dangerous, many ventures specialize in transferring cargo and passengers over bleak and deadly leagues of land. Others try to take everything of value from said travelers, or attempt to find buried treasures among the ruins of the old empire. The leaders of the endeavors are, some say, the bravest men and women of the Riven Realms. Such a leader is called a Vagrus.
That's a cool animal, whatever that is. That looks sweet. I said that was pretty lengthy, but I have to applaud it for Like, I could actually follow it. I'm usually really bad at following, like, intro cutscenes. I usually don't understand what's going on after just watching it once. But this one was pretty clear, so I'm okay with that. It sounded a little high. Let's see if I can reduce the music a little bit. Like, the voice volume was okay, but music is a bit much. Let's go like 60 maybe. Okay, so we have separate sound settings. That's a good start already. Custom cursor, note tracking. Not sure what note tracking is. Oh wait, that's okay. That's all the option menu gives me. Well, it's a Unity game though. There's a pre-game launcher, so you can set resolution settings there. But yeah, okay. What is extras? Replay intro and stuff. Okay, let's go. New game. Nothing besides remains. Round the decay of the colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and levels ascends stretch far away. From Ozymandias by Percy by Bush Shelley or something. 1818. Who are you?
Ah, yes. A Vagrus. What a profession. Daring and savvy, always watching the horizon, always looking for an opportunity, and of course, for what is best for his comitatus, eh? And you are a Vagrus too, are you not?
I
Many
presume.
of your kind have I seen in my long life as a vagabond. Care to listen to a story about your exquisite occupation, good master? It is a tale of woe and terror, but it is also a tale that is true, as I have seen it with mine own eyes.
Sure. Tell us your tale, old man. I'll at least help kill the time. Play prologue. Okay, so I guess this is kind of a tutorial, probably.
Wise you are, good master. My tale is of a Vagrus, such as yourself, but one whose fate was cursed and wrought with ill fortune. It all happened a long time ago. 10 years, maybe more. I was but a passenger, traveling rough roads and forgotten ways with this comitatus, south along the feet of the great mountains of the west.
Okay, so do we finally get some gameplay? No, more text. I mean, the game warned me about it. Now I have to read myself, apparently. Okay, let's do that. The comitatus I speak of had fallen under hard times. Perhaps it was due to the imperial harassment or unfortunate decisions, or simply bad luck. Irafon's scent of roads does not always smile on us mere mortals. But however it came to pass, their coin was drying up, and their opportunities seemed few and far between. One of the last chances their Vagrus saw was to travel to the remote town of Scrap Heap and spend the remaining funds to stock up on cheap scrap metal. This metal could be sold for great profit over in the east and south. It wasn't a bad plan, truly, but it was not without risks either. Welcome to the prologue of Vagrus the Riven Realms. It serves as an introduction to the setting and also a tutorial to the game. It behooves you to read the tutorial text and follow the instructions to gain a better understanding of how the game works. The whatever icon can be clicked in tutorial windows to show what the section is referring to via a pointer. Oh, that's good. Note that you have to be on the right UI screen for the pointer to appear. Note that although Vagrus is an open world game, due to the prologue being a tutorial, it progresses along a narrow guided path in the beginning and opens up only later after those core mechanics have been introduced. You can access the hotkey list by pressing F11. Okay, good. So that was a little bit much text for not saying a lot, to be honest. On the campaign map, your comitatus traveling company always occupies a node and moves between nodes through paths. So is there something? No, it's just giving me like highlight on important words. Moving along a path costs movement points indicated next to each path. Every in-game day you have a number of movement points to spend before you need to camp. To move, click on a nearby node and select move from the radial menu. You can select a node that is farther away. The MP cost of moving there will be calculated and the path highlighted. Oh, we're supposed to move there. Okay, let's do that. Click it, move, MP cost. Wait. Why is this a radial menu, but this is not a button? That's weird. That's a little unusual. User controls. Whatever. You know what I mean. Most of the story is presented through interactive text called events. Events provide choices you can pick from at each step. Various choices can have a number of consequences. Some choices have dependencies, that is, you can only pick a certain choice if you have the right prerequisites. Skills, perks, characters. You can click choices or use 1 to 9 to select them. Navigate this event to its end. Okay, having gone ahead of the column with a handful of scouts, you watch from a ridge as your competitor slowly trudges along, making its way ponderously among dormant geysers and broken terrain. All around you, the hills smolder lazily in the perpetual twilight. Are you alright? Javik's voice resonates sympathy as he appears next to you on the ridge. You nod slowly, but do not look at him. Your gaze is lost in the distance where ash cloaks the horizon and the towering mountains to the south and west. Turning to your comms, you note his supportive smile. You and Javik have been traveling around the realms together for years now. There's no other person in the world who you trust more than you trust him, except perhaps yourself. I know you feel constrained, but I still feel like I said before, you made the right choice by leading us here. Time will tell, but I still have my doubts. It's a long shot and you know it. There wasn't much of a choice, either this or returning my trading license and hanging myself. Well, let's not do that. It has to work. We cannot fail, not like this. Thank you, but the last thing I need right now is a clumsy pep talk. It's all mate. Let's go with 1. Let's not be a dick. Oh, okay, so it's scrolled up weirdly. Okay, so that's... Yeah, okay, so time will tell, but I still have my doubts. It's a long shot, you know it. Javik nods. True, but it's better than just giving up. The crew agrees too. That counts for something, no? It does, yes. Good to know what they will still have faith in me is as the Vagrus, or perhaps they are just desperate as I am. Doesn't change a thing about our predicament, so why should I care? Let's go with 1. Let's not be, like, super pessimistic. They do have faith in you still, Javik says. It should not come as a surprise, since you've known and traveled with most of them for years and years. Some founding members of the comitatus you could trust with your life, but you have heard stories before about Vagri who have been abandoned for less. Times being what they are. Javik trails off. With Imperials cracking down on us independence more heavily than before, business is tough, everyone knows, and they appreciate your efforts to keep us floating. I'll plan out to give us another chance. Okay, that's actually really a lot of reading. When text in an event is highlighted pale blue, it means that you have found a codex entry. Clicking on such text opens the codex and navigates you to the entry. Clicking highlight one. Okay, so sure, let's read it first. The plan. You talked your traveling company into this a few weeks ago, but with each step towards the Western Mountains, more and more of them started to have doubts, such as the way of the road, perhaps. The plan involves a desperate attempt at squeezing a low selling price for metal bits out of an old contact of yours in the town of Scrap Heap. Okay, now we got codex entry for Scrap Heap apparently. The codex is a collection of entries you have found throughout your travels and events. Entries contain information about the world and its inhabitants. Each time there are unread entries, the crystal on the cover of the closed codex emanates light. Entries are displayed in the list on the left. You can search entries and filter. This tutorial is very, very verbose. Like, wow. You can search entries and filter them by categories using the actions on the top left. Like, stuff like that is... I usually prefer to have the UX or the UI elements be intuitive instead of having to like have them to be explained. Like if you design them in a way that are just intuitive, like it even sounds like it might be intuitive. Like each time there are unread entries, the crystal on the cover of the closed codex emanates light. That's probably self-explanatory. I don't see it yet, but if that's implemented well, you don't have to explain it. Same goes for searches and filters. Like if your UI elements are fine, then you don't have to explain it. When they look kind of obvious here. This looks like a filter and this looks like a search bar. Like pretty straightforward, really. I don't know if you have to explain all of this. Like this gives a lot of text to read. I mean, sure, you have to read a lot in this game anyway, but let me read the interesting stuff and not the tutorial maybe. The text of the select entry appears on the right, and then, yeah, like, really? No, I thought this was I don't know. This would be something else entirely. You don't have to explain every part of your UI, usually. And if you have to, then that's a sign of bad UI design, so... well, with that out of the way, information in the codex is supplementary. It is there for those who wish to learn more about the Riven Realms. You can close the codex now and continue your journey. You can open it again by clicking on the book in the bottom right. Okay, so that was it. We could read Scrap Heap now. Let's read Scrap Heap, but I'm not going to read all of them, but let's read one so we get an idea of what the codex is all about. Scrap Heap is a town on the edge of Imperial territory just north of the Molten Tongue and south of the Forest and Shadows. Description: in the smoldering shadow of the Great Mountains of the West, Scrap Heap rarely sees sunlight and the skies are forever ashen and overcast. The air is hot and dry, earthquakes are common. Most of the time, Scrap Heap is engulfed in smoke and ash, and a constant reddish twilight is upon it. That sounds really nice. I really want to live there or not. Surrounded by a low wall, the town is indeed made of scrap and junk, mostly stone with metal scraps, as well as leather and cloth of awnings. A single tall tower stands high above the town on a hill, housing a beacon that aids scavenger teams in their return, but also gives home to the Heap King. Inhabitants wear scarves and masks to aid their breathing. History: well, after the calamity, people flocked to the Molten Kingdom of Dvenendar Tar, formerly the homeland of all dwarves on the continent, in order to plunder any... They were dwarves? Like the intro video didn't look like there were any non-human races, to be honest. It looked like a regular Roman world, actually. Like they were, yeah, they looked just like regular human Romans or something. Oh, okay, they're dwarves apparently. On the continent, in order to plunder any riches that remained there, especially the rare metal that is still in abundance in the kingdom. Because Dwendar Tar is now extremely volcanic and volatile, the scavengers did not dare to dwell in it, only in its close proximity. Thus, the settlement of Screepep was born. Oh, there's more. The town is not under imperial jurisdiction because the emperor never gave a damn about its existence out in the savage, barely inhabited mountainside, and simply let gangs and comitati gather and sell the precious metal and ore in one of the border towns. Still, some trade houses sometimes set up a temporary compound there, only to get robbed and driven out months later. Scrap Heap is run by the Heap King, a gang lord who organized the previous chaotic and warring work teams. Okay, so we got 18 out of 97 codex entries, I guess. What is this? I got 8 out of 10 something. Not sure. Well, let's close it and continue with the text. So, old contact of yours in the town of Scrap Heap, stocking up on said metal by spending the rest of your coin and bringing the cargo down south along the Molten Tongue to Devon via Avernum and Ash. There's a shortage of metal in Devon, and you know several buyers who'd give a pretty price for your goods if you can only make it there before many others with a similar cargo do. Such contacts are the boon of decades. That makes no sense. Like, if there are a lot of people bringing the cargo, why would people pay a lot to the first one? Well, maybe if they don't know that there's more coming, but I don't know. Such contacts are a boon of decades spent on the road. But even if Narbuk, that villain, gave you an agreeable price in Scrap Heap, the road is not without its risks. Sneaking through the gap between the dead forest and the Molten Tongue is inviting disaster, so it's not a path many Vagri would take. And of course, if this fails, you have utterly run out of alternatives. Do you think Nabu will help us? The old scammer was never famous for his goodwill. Javik wonders. One can only hope. I haven't seen him in years, but we always did good business. But you're not sure he'd remember you or if he's alive at all. If he's not willing, we must find a way to compel him. There's no telling what you would be capable of if it came to that. He has to help us out. He won't be able to pass up the opportunity to make us indebted to him. Even the thought of sending yourself out in such a way makes you feel dirty. Let's go with the second answer. These are dark times and call for desperate deeds, but such thoughts make me really uncomfortable, to be honest. Javik rubs his chin absent-mindedly. You've seen this expression of his too often not to realize he's using his sorcerer's talent to read your mind. Oh. Taking a peek? Get out of my head, you know the rules. Now let's go with taking a peek. Apologies. Javik quickly rubs his eyes and looks away briefly. You know how it is. It comes to me so naturally that sometimes I don't notice I'm doing it. Your thoughts were loud. Ragus, I have to actually block them, you see? After joining your communitators 6 years ago, Javik proved to be an invaluable asset. Not only does he sense moods and thoughts around him, he's also able to subtly manipulate others when he focuses his inner energies. It comes very handy when doing business. Yeah, and it's also really annoying to have someone like that around, I would assume. Then there's his other perks. A few times you saw him shatter the minds of man and beasts who tried to kill him. Not a pretty sight, but a very effective deterrence. Yet, because he's not a trained sorcerer, at least not in a traditional sense, his abilities are sometimes difficult to control. You've become accustomed to his impromptu through scans while others find it less bearable to be around him. For this reason, he has kept his abilities a secret for many years overall, but you can't keep a secret such as this in the close-knit community of commentators. Especially note if you keep bursting minds and know things you shouldn't. So there are only a handful of newcomers who put up with being near him for long. But even so, he hasn't probed your mind in years, certainly not on purpose, but neither by accident. Perhaps he is less in control now, which suggests he's more on the edge about this whole trip than he let it. God damn it! Too much reading. I'm falling. I'm starting to screw up, and then I can't make proper sentence anymore apparently as well. So. Whole trip, then he lets it show. Apology accepted, you manage a faint smile. Let us return to the others and push on. There's still a day's travel ahead of us. Just make sure it does not happen again. You grumble as you start to make your way down the ridge and back to the column. A long day of travel awaits you. Let's go with one. I wonder if those options actually change anything. I assume some of them will, but these just seem like they give different texts, probably. But I'm not sure if they will actually change the game or the story in a meaningful way. They might, I don't know. Both of you walk down, like, it depends on if there is a relationship system to other characters and stuff. It's probably not in the tutorial, but who knows. Both of you walk down to the commentators and join the column. Let's do that. Okay, that was a lot of text. Do we get some action now, maybe? Like, I'm not opposed to lots of story and stuff, but there should also be some gameplay to make the game appealing for me. I don't play visual novels for a reason. As we were coming up to the gates of Scrap Heap, this trash pile town of cutthroats and scavengers, we could see the vast mountain ranges of shattered Devendar Tar, Devendar Tar, looming ominously over the horizon. Half shrouded in the gaseous vapors belched forth by the volcanoes in the far west. My companions prepared to do their business in town as fast as they could, not wishing to tarry about in this notorious place. I wonder who is this Javek? This might be Javek. So, what do I do? Oh, this is the companion. This is the crystal. Like, if that... Yeah. Oh, is that the... Okay, this is kind of subtle. This is kind of subtle. Did we get a new one? I'm not sure. No, I don't think so, actually. What is this? Calendar? Probably. Go there. When a commentators enters the settlement, you can select from a variety of options, each on its separate pane, revolving around resting, resupplying, and trading, as well as opportunity to initiate stories located in the settlement. This time, only the story pane is active. Follow the only available story. Let's do that. What do we have up here, by the way? Movement 3 out of 10, and 0 something. Movement points represent how far the commentators can travel each day. Each step on the campaign map costs 1 MP. March movement points, the red ones, represent how far you can push your commentators after MP runs out a given day. Interesting. Supplies, the currently available supplies for the commentators' consumption is applied at the end of each day. This number represents how many consumption points worth of supplies you have remaining. It is also calculated how many days you can feed your crew at the current rate of consumption. Okay, so we consume lots of supplies if we only last 2 days with 340 supplies. Cargo shows the maximum and available cargo spaces in your hold. Okay, and that's money, I guess. Draka, Brose, and Lurk. At the foot of the ever-fun, fuming mountains of the ancient dwarven kingdom lies Scrap Heap, town of scavengers. Debris and junk it's piled into veritable hills upon which the rickety homes of the God damn it. Yeah, my reading ability is crackling now. I'm sorry. Home of the decrepit inhabitants stand. Ash lingers everywhere, and the sun is almost always absent from the twilight skies. Twilight skies, not twilight. Deals are struck day and night over the precious metal scraps gathered in the ruins of nearby Devendar Tar, while the Heap King oversees all from his dreaded tower. Soot-covered faces watch from under ash-laden awnings. Life is cheaper than iron here, some say. Track down Narbo. Can he be convinced to help you out? Well, we'll find out. You make your way to the Wraith's stash, a notorious watering hole tucked away in a small street just behind the imposing tower of the Heap King, but not quite under its immense shadow. Not many frequent the establishment, which makes it perfect for Narbo and his little operation of honest merchants. Apparently, the knave is not only alive, but has done well for himself in the past decade or so. Taking only Javek, you leave the commentators to carve of Titus, your quartermaster, while your gun negotiating. Ashes flitting from the black sky as you cross the street and not the bouncer of the rave stash. You give him your sidearms quietly. Rules are rules, at least as long as they can enforce it. Yet they have the courtesy of allowing you to keep your dagger. And of course they have no idea what Javik is capable of should it come to a scuffle. Not that you expect such a thing, but with Nabu one never knows. Thought you've told your crew that him and you go way back, their entrepreneur is capricious and manipulative man with whom you did not part on the best of terms last time. Does he remember that? Surely. Could he persuade to take your proposal? Who knows. Your eyes slowly adjust to the dimness of the tavern's interior. Only a few candles and lamp at the bar illuminates the common room. Shadowy faces turn towards you and absorb you through the thick smoke. The bartender, a thick-set man in a dirty tunic, is chewing tobacco serenely. Above the bar hangs the skeleton of a large sheep lizard on display. Nabu is sitting at a table in the back, his bodyguard half hidden in the darkness at the wall behind him. This video is going on for a while already, isn't it? Well, let's hope we get some gameplay so I can wrap this up eventually. Make your way comfortably over to Narbo. Walk over to the resident. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go to Narbo directly. Why play around it? The entrepreneur looks up from a stack of papers in front of him and rubs his eyes. Narbo is a corpulent man with a bushy dark beard and a few missing teeth. Part of his face is covered in scars similar to those left by old burns. That, coupled with the withered and mutated left arm that hangs limp at his side, is a clear indication of the taint. The merchant wears a leather jerkin studded with small bronze and bone coins, a sign of wealth and boldness. His bodyguard, a lean man with tribal tattoos and an outfit made of leather strips, moves his hand calmly to a spear that leans against the wall. Nabo's mouth falls open as the spark of recognition flares up in his eyes. No wonder, it's been 10 years. The fuck, mate? He blinks. I thought you croaked. People, Nabu waves his good hand around and looks at his bodyguard. Told tales of your demise. The man finished his sentence for him as the merchant nods vehemently. Okay. That business with the Kernak house and the storm, Nabu adds. You tell him that you were indeed at Kernak when the terrible arcane storm struck. You describe the horrors of that night briefly. You add how many of your original competitors died there, close friends, old traveling companions, but you walked away unscathed. This was years ago. Sheesh, that fucker Erphanus looked after you something. Fierce, yeah, something fierce, aye? Nabu chuckles heartily. I'm probably completely botching this accent. But I'm sure you haven't come to reminisce about good old times, huh? His predatory smile makes you cautious, even though he invites you to sit down with a casual wife of his meaty hand. Apologize to him for the unfortunate way you parted 10 years ago. Get down to business right away. You have no time to spare. Remind him how you don't like threats, especially not insidious ones. Let's just not talk about the past. Let's do that. Get down to business. You tell Nabu to let bygones be bygones and instead listen to what you have got to offer now. You got some balls coming here, all business and bold. After a tense moment, his stern expression turns into a toothless smile. I like it. There we go. That was the right choice, apparently. The bodyguard visibly becomes less tense. Nabu opens his arm wide and bows his head. Let's hear it, mate. You breathe in, time to outline your proposition. You explain to Nabu. Oh, wait, there's more tutorial. Some choices have dependencies, meaning you can only pick a certain choice. Yeah, you explained that earlier. You have to write prerequisites. Or is it perks coming? Yeah, you just told me that earlier. Some choices involve tests that can be failed or succeeded with different consequences. Perks, characters, and resources can change the chance of success in test. Test difficulty is represented by a number between 1 and 100 that you'll need to roll equal to or below. So, okay. You explain to Nabu how you want him to give you a discount on a shipment of metal scraps, which you then would smuggle into Devon through contacts you have in the city's underworld. Once sold, the profit of the shipment would be quite exquisite. You do not name your contact, but divulge enough of her that the plan seems solid. Buyers, you say, are lining up, expecting the shipment soon. Nabu sits in silence, eyes fixed on the table as if listening to some noise from afar. He does not cut you off at any time during your proposition. At length, after you're done, he looks up and gives you a weak smile. That sounds like you've been thinking a long time about it, he says as he shifts in his chair. And it's a great plan, except for the part where I give you a discount for your asking and not much else. I don't do that, mate. That would make me an almoner, the bodyguard adds discreetly. That's a word? Nabu looks up at him. When the man nods, he turns back to you. An almoner. See, I'm no almoner. You know you gotta do better than that. What you got for me? Tell him that you'll be in his debt. He'll make a tidy profit as it is, but you owe him a favor. High chance of success. Does it give me a number? I get plus 40 persuasion and plus 10 charismatic, so I guess that's 50%. Probably. Remind him that you two used to make a great team and this could rekindle that partnership. Long chance of success. Persuasion plus 5%, charismatic, so that's a 50% chance. Let's not try that. Reveal that you are in a bad spot and it's your last chance. Let's not do that. Let him know that in exchange for his help, you help him out with the problem he might have right now. Okay, so if I would have not directly moved to him, I probably could have got some information that would have allowed me to take that option. Without that possibility, let's go with number 1 and be in his death. Test failed. Great. Oh, I had 70% chance though, so apparently there was another 20% coming from somewhere. After a considerable pause, when Abu scratched his beard in thought, he turns to you. Fair enough, we used to run together, I know you are capable, but just to be clear, you do owe me for this, and I'll collect. The moment you make that deal in Devon, you come back here and we share. I want quarter. No haggling that. You frown when you accept his proposal, but instead you are gleeful. You could not have hoped for a better result. So, wait, I failed the test. Why is the result good? That's weird. Truthfully, a quarter of the price is not only doable, but would leave you with enough to keep paying your crew for several future jobs. It could be a new start. Now instructs you to give him an hour, then look for his people at the market and simply introduce yourself. They know what price on the metal scraps they should give you by then. I expect you to return with 2 months, give or take. Failing that, you'll be hunted, have no doubt about that, and you know that I can mobilize half the bounty hunters in the realms. When you nod Narbo motions to his man, you and Javik stand up and make ready to leave. Reviewer will take you to the back exit. We don't want to give people the idea they can come here to beg for almonds now, do we? Go what you came for, so you leave the Rev's stash through the back entrance and head back to the comitatus. Yeah, lots of reading. That's too much reading for my taste, to be honest. Like, as I said earlier, I'm okay with reading and story and whatnot. And this is actually, it's written well, I think. Like, it's kind of interesting to read. I'm not getting bored here, but I don't sit on my computer to read a book. So I like to have a little bit more gameplay in my games usually. Your journal has become active in the bottom left corner. It's your means to follow stories and tasks on your journal now by clicking on the book in the bottom left corner. Okay, codex updated, journal updated. Oh, there. Oh, the book. Okay. The journal allows you to view quests, tasks, and stuff. Objectives are your quests and tasks. Quests are the qualities that committers or the leader currently has. They come in. Okay. The shipment. Find your cunning scrapper. We did that. Buy at least 40 metal scraps at the market. Okay. Close your journal. Let's do that. The market pane is now active. Now get to the market pane. Okay, let's do that. At least some gameplay. We can buy stuff now. The market pane displays the available goods. You can buy at settlement market. The settlement's market on the right and opens your cargo pane on the left. You can buy goods from the market or sell your own good from your cargo hold there. When you're buying or selling, buy or sell one increment only by clicking on the buy or sell button next to the listed good. Holding shift and clicking the buy and sell buttons buys you or sells a whole stack respectively. Drag and drop the icon for buying or selling stacks of goods. Holding shift and clicking the icon opens a window where you can specify the, okay. So we have supplies. There's scrap metal. We're supposed to buy scrap metal, so let's just buy it. How much money do I have left? Enough to get the rest of it. There we go. Equipment that you can attach to the competitors is sold on some markets or found throughout your travels. They provide bonuses and upgrades. You can switch between a market and goods of equipment using buttons over the list of items on the market pane. Cargo equipment, okay. Switch your equipment tab and press the awnings equipment from the market. Okay. Let's buy that. Equipment you own, you are in a pool below the competitor's illustration. In order to gain the bonuses, you need to equip them first by dragging and dropping. Okay. Into appropriate slot. Equipment can only be placed in a slot that matches its type, except the equipment of any type can be placed into the miscellaneous slot. You can unequip equipment by dragging it back to the list. Equip the armings on your competitors. Okay. What does it do? Minus 25% worker consumption. Okay. Sure. Items, the third type of cargo, do not take up cargo space and are not equipable. They are used and traded in certain events. You can switch panes in the settlement. An active pane will open the corresponding pane of the competitor's management on the left. You can now freely check the settlement tabs. When you are done exploring, you have at least 150 supplies in your cargo hold. Click on the arc icon on the bottom right to leave the scrap heap. Do we have enough supply? We have 340 supply. It should be decent. Once you leave, you cannot come back to this place in the prologue, so be sure to do everything you want before. Okay. I mean, there's not much I can do right now, besides buying more supplies or selling them. Which seems like a good idea, to be honest. It's cheap. Let's just fill up the cargo with supplies. Okay. Not sure if that was a good idea, but it's a tutorial. What should go wrong? With all your business here concluded, packed up, and restocked on supplies, you finally make ready to leave the decrepit town of Scrap Heap behind in the morning. You spent a night within a guarded compound. It is not for free, though. That cost me what? 1 bros. Bros was... One is bros. The tooltip disappeared for some reason. Oh, silver. Okay. 1 day, -1 bros. Okay. You set out at dawn. Ashes flitting from the sky and the distant mountains rumble ominously in the morning twilight as your competitors reach the west gates of the town. Almost immediately you notice the guardsmen and militia at the gates are working in groups, questioning and inspecting travelers. Move along towards inspection. A robbed magistrate of the Heap King appears to coordinate the search effort, picking out people or whole traveling groups for inspection. As your competitors draws near, it takes only a passing glance from him to appraise you and your crew before he motions to the guards to let you through. You pass on the gate out in the broken wasteland. Competitors is well on its way, and Scrap Heap is mere dot on the horizon by the time Javik joins you at the front of the line. Just like I said, you made the right choices with this adventure. Talk of how you may have saved us all is spreading like wildfire, he said with a faint smile. Of course, we do have to make it alive all the way to Devon with the cargo, but it's a good start, don't you think? Not to Javik in agreement. Agreed, there may be hope left for the committees after all. Agreed, there may be hope left for the committees after all, and you know it's in a large part thanks to you and your abilities, not mine. Turn away and walk on without a word. Let's go with 3. Javik smiles and he bows his head in thanks. Not that I fully agree, but it's my pleasure to be of use. I'm sure the journey will be fine. It's not like we started with this business yesterday. With that, you both go back to your own duties and do the constant monitoring of the horizon. If all goes well, you'll reach the wound in a few days, where you can turn south along the edge of the Molten Tongue and travel to the Venom. The journey continues. Okay, +3 morale. Awesome. In the prologue, your progress is saved at checkpoints, like it has just been saved now. Also, whenever you leave a settlement, an autosave occurs overriding a previous settlement save. Another autosave occurs with each in-game new day overriding a previous day's save. You can load your saved games from the game menu or from the main menu. Okay. There they were, with the full cargo hold and filled with newfound hope, yet the road ahead still promised hardship and peril. I traveled with them southwards, expecting to reach more habited lands beyond the Molten Tongue's river of lava. Like, he has to be Javik, or the main character, because how else would he know about the dialogue between the two, right? So I guess we're going there. The crew management UI is now active. Click on the sheet in the top left corner to open it. Okay. The crew management window allows you to manage your commentators. Moral is the general mood of your commentators, ranging from 1 to 9. Low moral applies penalties to MPs and tests and events. If it ever drops to 1, there's a chance that the commentator dissolves and you lose the game. You can see the current effect of your morale below the rating. So, crew morale steady, no bony or Mali. Vigor indicates how tired the commentators is, ranging from 1 to 6. Low vigor, vigor, it's pronounced vigor, right? I think. Results in penalties on tests and in the drastically slower commentators, which can spell doom quite fast. You can see the current effects of your vigor below the rating. So we're well rested, which gives us movement, march, tests, and crew combat bonuses. There we go. Upkeep. Okay, upkeep is how much you owe your crew. You can pay them at the end of each day or keep collecting debt. Okay, consumption is how many supplies your crew consumes each day. Oh, wait, so accrued, the sum total of your debt to your crew. That's a bunch of money. Daily total, 3. Oh, okay. Yeah. Companion 7, fighter 6, get 6, workers 9. Unpaid days 1. Okay. We're in debt quite a bit. Consumption is how many supplies your crew consumes each day. Running out of supplies leads to a quick death in the wasteland. That makes sense. We have daily total 127, 6 companions, 24 fighters. Okay. Beasts of burden. Nutrition. Sustained. Represents how well fed the committers is, affected by the amount of food given to the crew in the long run. Okay. Passengers are people you committers takes to their destinations for rewards. You can take on passengers in some events and settlements. They also consume supplies. Lizard icon. Okay. Lizard icon? What was the lizard icon? Not sure. You can see the number of each crew and beast type you have in your committers. Consult a tooltip for each type to learn more about their role. Outriders are special because you need a fighter and a mount to be able to create an outrider by using the plus button. While outriders are excellent fighters, mounts with outriders carry cargo. You can always dismount fighters using the minus button. For now, add an outrider and then close it window by clicking. Okay, so we can have fighters and we have mounts and we still have enough cargo, like enough mounts to. Oh, maybe. Oh, okay. Now we. Okay, 2 is fine. And close the window by clicking the X. Okay. Can we continue? There we go. You have run out of movement points and need to camp, ending the day. Being on the road all day, spending most of your MPs, lowers the vigor of your committers that you can replenish by camping. You can also camp earlier than running out of MPs, which helps raise vigor faster. Select the camp icon from the radar menu and not your current occupation. Okay. Camp. At the end of each in-game day, the committers makes camp and settles down for the night. Supplies are consumed and movement points are refreshed after camping. The summary of what happened to your crew that day can be seen on the top right, listing changes. You have the option to give out less or more supplies and rations, which penalizes or boosts vigor and morale respectively. Starving your crew will have long-term negative effects as well, but it may be necessary sometimes to save rations. Each day you can decide to offer normal or double wages for the current day, independent of whether you pay them or not. Double payment increases morale. You can also choose to pay all your debts to your crew at this time, pay now, or accurate payment, pay later. But the longer you delay, the crumpier they will get. Okay. You can also talk to your companions and heal them using the icons beneath their portraits. Additionally, you can set your defense orders for the night. A more lenient defense has high risk of nighttime ambush, but will lead to a well-rested crew. When you have set everything up, click the end day button. This will sometimes trigger camp events. Okay, so we can say regular consumptions. We can do normal upkeep, and we have to pay later. Yes, because we don't have that money. Then we have companions over here, the chief handler, that is Javik, I think. And what the hell is this? Can we talk to them here? Oh no, no more text. Well, you approach Javik. He's tending one of your beasts of burden. When he sees you wish to talk, he steps away, motioning to a handler to finish what he starts. What's in your mind, Vagrus? Ask what he thinks of Avernum and about what you can expect there. Ask him about his bars. Ask him about his strange abilities. Enough time for tonight. Yeah, let's do that. Who's that? What is this button? Heal. Okay, no, we don't have to heal. Morven is discussing something with some of the scouts when you approach them. She sees you and immediately steps away from her company, joining you next to a tent in the shadows. You immediately feel a bit anxious, as if roused out of torpor by Tarkian coffee. The effects of the proximity of a demonkin, no doubt. Anything I can do for you? Ask what you think about committers. Ask what she thinks about Javik. Ask her about her past, ask about demonkin. Yeah, let's not do that now, but okay. So we have a demonkin, apparently. Defense order, no need for guards or post guard. Yeah, let's go with no need for guards. We probably don't need, right? We don't need guards. Who needs guards? Okay, nothing happened. Good. After a long day's march under the bleak skies and harassed by hot winds, the committers finally settles down in a wide ravine. After taking care of camp course and checking on all your comms, you yourself go to your tent and tuck in for the night. There are benefits to sleeping out in the wasteland. The silence is quite calming, tranquil even. Only the murmur of the distant fire-belching mountains, the whisper of the wind, and the occasional groans of your beasts can be heard. Except something is making muffled noise you don't recognize. Your eyes flick open. There's something wrong. What in Tartarus is it now? You rise and check it out. Leaving your tent and passing the sleeping beast, you are just about to call to a guard. to a guard when you stumble upon a large quadrupedal creature with fused bone protrusions. It is munching on supplies scattered across the ground, evidently from a torn open sack lying nearby. The creature is a Jakra, a wasteland scavenger that hunts in packs. Before you can utter a word, the monster charges you, and out of the shadows, Morven leaps at it, tackling it aside and cutting its hide with her bone axe in a follow-up swing. You breath out, realizing how she has probably saved your life. Javik runs up to you just as the creature backs off, letting out a long howl. There's more of these accused things, boss. They must have sneaked inside the camp past the perimeter guards. We are fighting them and chasing them off. He blurts out. As he does, you can hear yelling and the sound of battle from around camp. The wounded Jakra is joined by another one from behind the cargo pile, and the two of them start cycling you. Okay, so we get in a fight. Finally. Companion combat is turn-based. Wait, only my companions combat? I don't fight? Okay. Some as well, 1 to 6 enemies fight against your team of 1 to 6 companions. You can use the skills of your companions to defeat your enemies, protect your companions, and set yourself up in advantageous positions on the combat board. Companions combat is made up of rounds. Each round, all the participants take turns to act, and when everyone has had their turn, the current round ends and a new round is created. Really, like, this is a really complicated concept. I don't know why you need that many words for it. This goes on until either your companions or your enemies are defeated. Combat board is divided into 2 sides. The friendly side, left where your companions and occasional allies are, and opposite side. Like, this tutorial is so verbose, it's ridiculous. Like, do you have to explain everything? Like, I mean, if you're worried about people not understanding how your game works because you want to be like accessible, as accessible as possible, which is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. Maybe give us the option, like, at the beginning, I played video games before, you don't have to explain me every little detail, or like, I'm a newbie to video games, explain me everything, please, or I don't like tutorials, don't explain anything, or something along those lines. But this is a little, I don't know. Both sides can have a maximum of 6 combatants. Each side has a front row, and the back row, melee and ranged. Each row has 3 positions. Certain skills can only be used when standing in a position in the appropriate row. Click on the begin combat button. Okay, let's do that. The order in which combatants receive their turns is according to their initiative. At the beginning of each round, all active combatants add 1 to 6 random to the ini to determine it in what order they will progress through the round, starting from highest initiative. The initiative order top left shows the order in which combatants receive their turns. Wise leaders use this information to plan ahead. I'm very wise, so I'm gonna plan ahead that the enemies start and they maul. Okay, they mauled and Javek, which deals some damage, I think. 2 damage. Melee skills can only be used from the front row. They can only target front row enemies that are adjacent to the attacker's position, or back row enemies if no front row enemy blocks them. Your positioning is off, lovely companions. You should protect them, right? Because of these rules, positioning immediately is paramount. Yeah, okay. Jarek begins turn, uses Maul and Javik successfully. Accuracy, I guess, 10 to 80. BLC, 38 to 5. Whatever that means. 2 damage, 57. Crits 57 to 10. Did he crit? I don't think he did. Not sure. This is a little cryptic down here. All characters can move, footprint icon, bottom left section, to any adjacent position on their own side. If they move into a position that is occupied by another character, that character is pushed out of the position it occupies and has to be moved into an adjacent free position, even though to the position the other character has just left. Not only do characters in the front row prevent melee attacks against the characters directly behind them, but also make them more difficult to hit with certain range skills, those that have the line of sight property. When you want to move, select the move icon and then the target position by clicking on it, then confirm with the second click. Move Morven in front of Javik. Yeah, let's do that. Move there. Huh? Okay, worked. Each companion has 4 combat skills besides move, represented by the row of icons below the name on that took a whole turn. Okay. The row of icons below the name on the character information bar. When you select a skill, its stats are displayed below the skill icon. You can select skills or move by clicking on them or pressing the number 1 to 5. Select skills are highlighted, as are all available targets for the selected skill. Skill details can be viewed in the information blah blah blah. Use Mind Blast to attack one of your opponents. Okay, so Mind Blast. Ranged attack that burns the mind, completely ignoring armor. Mind damage. It deals 3 to 4 damage, accuracy 95%, 10% crit chance. Sounds good. Let's do that. Do we have different hit chances on those two? I don't think we have. Just go for the front row one. 4 damage, good. And what did the other one do? Not sure. What did it do? Oh, wait, can we? It didn't do anything. Apparently it didn't do anything, not sure why. Movement skill include options to push front row enemies back, Savage Kick, and to pull back row enemies into the front, Whiplash. Some skills are more complex, for example, including a move and an attack, Strafe. These types of skills can be used to great effect in controlling your enemies. Use more than Savage Kick to send the Jokra enemy to the back row, denying it an attack. Oh, it didn't do anything because it wasn't a back row. It could have moved in the front row, I guess, but it didn't. Select the power position. Okay, so we do this, which Savage Kick that pushes the target back. As a push capability, like that push. Okay, it does some damage and pushes them back. It blocked it. Too bad. Which means it didn't push either. That's not good. You can consult the combat log anytime you use the log is scrollable. You can click it. The character sheet can be opened by clicking this icon. At the portrait, you can select all combat relevant stats of an active companion there. The forfeit button, the character's portrait allows you to pass your current turn, defeat your enemies. Okay. Gotcha. What do we have? We have Mind Blast, which deals a lot of damage, basically, and ignores armor. We have Hypnosis, which a single target moves to where you command it. Okay, you control them, but you don't do damage, so you just move them around. Can be useful, I guess. But like if I move it back and it moves forward, we just trade actions, which might not be beneficial. And he has a melee attack, but that only works if I'm in the front row, obviously. Then we have Premonition, friendly ranged. Caster and a single ally receive an initiative, defensive and bonus, and accuracy for 3 rounds. That sounds useful. Am I gonna do that? Let's do that. Let's buff. Used pin. Okay. Can I see what pin does? Not sure. Okay, can I? Jokra. I don't see his skills, I think. He's almost done though, so if I just Mind Blast him, he should be good. Not he should be good. Like, it should be good to just Mind Blast him. There we go. Probably should have done that last turn already, to be honest. Buffing when I can take out an enemy instead is probably not worthwhile. Like, okay, is she not? Oh, she lost turns because of pin. That makes sense. Let's Mind Blast it again. And what does she have? Devastating Blow, a melee strike with a lot of damage. Strafe, hit 2 adjacent enemies in the same row, then move to the side. Okay, cool. Savage Kick to push them back. And the Whiplash, Whiplash strikes that pull single point. Yeah, so we're definitely going to try to kick again. Well, actually, right, you can deal 2 to 5 damage. No, he has too much HP. Oh, I missed. Too bad. He pins again. She has a turn anyway. She apparently reflected the pin, or rejected, or resisted the impediment. Yeah, okay. So yeah, let's just, we have to take 2 turns. Let's just attack full out and hope we kill him, because that's 4 damage, and now Yavek deals 4 damage as well. Should use the hotkey, and that's good. There we go. Okay, so that's the combat system. That's what I wanted to see before I wrap up this video. Not a bad combat system. I like how it's very, like, positioning is very important apparently. And you have a lot of skills that involve movement, either of yourself or of your enemies. So I think it's pretty tactical. It seems like an interesting combat system, to be honest. Would have to play more, but I'm not sure I'm gonna do that, because between the combat there's so much reading. And as I said earlier, I don't mind reading, but I like to have different ratio between reading and gameplay, I guess. I wonder how this plays out later. Like, the game said it's open world earlier, so or will be open world when you get into the full game, if the tutorial. But it also seems to be very story heavy. I wonder if they manage, like this is a thing you can do, but it's a thing to do which is hard to do right. So I wonder if they succeeded at that. Like it's hard to do like a really cool story, but also have like the freedom of an open world, which is why a lot of open world games are just filled with filler quests or activities. So I wonder if they managed to do it in a good way. But yeah, I don't know. I might give this another shot when it eventually releases. But for now, that was enough rating for me. So let's wrap this up. It's called Vagrus, the Riven Realms. It definitely looks like a product of love. Like it's high quality so far. I didn't encounter any bugs or anything. There's a lot of good text and writing and stuff like that, and I assume there will be more. There's also some decent systems behind that, like there's a lot of interesting ideas with the morale and stuff, and supplies and trading. Kind of hard to judge right now. This is just a first impression, so it's hard to if that's actually a good, like it's implemented well or if it's balanced well and stuff like that. But it definitely looks appealing to me. To a degree at least, and it's mixed with the combat system as well, so it's a good mix actually, but like a little bit too much of one part of the mix, which is the reading for me, but that's personal preference obviously. Like other people enjoy that kind of stuff. Yeah, if you're into it, feel free to check out the link below in the description. It will, as I said, release someday. I have no idea when. There is no ETA yet. And yeah, I'm TH Pine. Thanks a lot for watching. Have fun and see you next time.